It's not every day on set that there's a piece of lighting gear or the results of a piece of lighting gear that you've just never seen before. All of these reflections you're seeing on the wall and cast across the room are from something called an eflect, which essentially is like a squished down disco ball with all these little reflective squares. Now, the ingenious part of an eflect is that you can bend it and shape it, and it will in fact stay in that position. And this allows you to focus the reflections. It allows you to shape how they look, where they are, and also kind of cast them everywhere, because you can actually bend this so that it's not just concave, but I think this is called convex.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
But this allows for a lot of flexibility on set. So where do you want to use this? Well, I first saw the eflect when we were shooting our C-Bum film. Derek Lamoureux and Nick Pilecki both own them. I actually don't own one. In fact, I'm borrowing this. This video isn't sponsored. More on that in a bit. We were in a gym and we had kind of exhausted all the different looks we wanted. So they brought out the eflect, and now suddenly you have this dappling across the room.
This is a fun tool.
This is cool. And it just does break it up that little bit, hey? And it will reflect back whatever you're shooting, but obviously into hundreds of different little reflections. That's the fun thing about an eflect, is you actually will never get the same reflection twice. That also might be a bit of the hassle with it, is if you're trying to replicate a shoot the next day, chances are, unless you haven't touched it and you know exactly where the light was, you're not going to get the same results. And because the reflections are so ambiguous, it gives you almost like a texture. Like, we've all been there in a boring boardroom that just has a white wall, and someone's like, well, let's add a slash of light. That slash of light is just that. It's just a big lump of light on the wall. With an eflect, you're now able to add a little bit of dappling. Or one of my favorite ways of using it is to emulate the idea of light coming through a tree. So you can see the shoot I did here with Landon in my home. Shot this on the Cooke SP3s, and I love the way the bokeh of the SP3s enhances the dappling in trees. But the sunlight coming through that tree wasn't casting anything onto the wall. So I actually just set the eflect up inside my home and got a little Zhiyun X100 with a spotlight and sent it against the eflect. And now I was able to actually shape and craft those reflections on the wall.
This is like just a tiny little X100 off the eflect. Back in the day, I would have had to have had like a 2K HMI through that tree to get this, but I can just do this all inside the house now.
Like in the past when I've done this, when I've just shone a bright light through a tree, you kind of can only shape that by moving the light to the left or the right. But now with the eflect, there is a ton of flexibility, and it has a little stand adapter here in the back, but I like to put it on a magic arm so I can really shape and move it around. And then this way I can begin finding the perfect place for that reflection. And speaking of lighting, we have these free PDF guides for lighting about how we set up our interviews, or even how we go about creating our interview questions for our films. You put these out for free. They're part of the Art of Documentary. So if you want one of those, you can go down below and click that. We have tons of free guides. Actually, I'll put all of those down there. There's no sponsor for today's video, but if you want one of those guides, you can click them down below and it'll be sent directly to your inbox. When in doubt, flare it out. Right? As Rogers Deakins says, he doesn't actually say that. I just got to give a shout out to the amazing cinematography in our one-day doc competition. This is something we do twice a year in AOD, and I was blown away this year by the quality of cinematography. It's no coincidence that some of those best projects took their pre-production to our feedback hours calls with Nick Pilecki and our brand new Cinepath Pro course. This is where they were able to take their stills, their lighting plans, and how they're going to approach the cinematography and get real-time feedback. So we're also going to be introducing these into our brand new producing course. We're launching the most professional course we've done to date with producer Jackie Powell. This is a full commercial and short documentary production course about being a producer. And this is all launching September 16th. The doors are reopening for Art of Documentary. And if you want to guarantee the best price possible, I'm trying to give you a little hint here. It's a big hint. We have a pre-registration link down below. It's open for this week only, and you can guarantee your spot with the best price possible. So you'll be the first people to get let in, because we have limited seating now in AOD. We have just been watching the AOD community continue to thrive, and it's inspired us to continue to release more and more content, do more feedback, have more events, bringing in the most professional people to help teach and interact with you as filmmakers. We're 5 years into AOD, and it still feels like we're just getting started with how many amazing stories are pouring in. I can never stop smiling about AOD because it is so fun to get to do this with you as a community. Not just interact with you on comments on a YouTube video, but actually get to see our careers grow together. We're actually going to be throwing a party here in Toronto as well for the doors opening. So if you want to come hang, meet some other filmmakers, get some free drinks, and get just some knowledge and inspiration, check out our Instagram, because we will be posting all the information there. We can give you details. So excited. September 16th, doors are reopening. If you want to know more about AOD, go take our filmmaker quiz in that link below. Excited to meet you this September. As I mentioned, one of the tough things is if you knock that light or knock that stand, if you're doing an interview, you're going to mess up the reflection. I think there might be some grace for that in an edit though. If it's supposed to be emulating a tree, then it can move around. Another way to do this is to actually just get it on like a little airplane cable, just like a little loop. I've done that. And then you can kind of just move it and have someone just wobbling it a little. And that gives it that feeling of like a tree moving. There's many different applications. I'm interested if you've tried some different stuff. It's also a really cool thing. When I set this up, it can be a great underlight because again, it's not even, which makes it a little more interesting and then doesn't feel like a perfect light. Nothing is perfect in lighting unless it's coming from a perfect lighting source. The eflect helps things stay a little more organic. Like I could instantly just add a little texture to this room. Let me turn on the little X100 here. There we go. Put it on me. Add it to the background there. I'm gonna try and hit that back wall. There we go. The closer you get to it, the more blurry it is, but the further you pull it back, kind of the more sharp it gets. So if I were to set this up, I could add just a little bit of texture back there. Why don't I? Why don't I actually just set that up for a sec? There you go, some free bonus DAP point. You can see it just suddenly looks like it's casting a shadow through that tree, but I'm actually casting a shadow with it right now. So you can kind of create the reflections from ways that light wouldn't reflect into a room normally. And you can do it from inside a room. Or if you don't have big, powerful lights, like I'm saying, I have this Zhuan light here at maybe 29%. And the eflect comes in a ton of different colors. You can get blue ones or ones that have both gold and silver. There's a ton of different options for size or pattern tightness. I think you can buy them off the Dedo website. I don't know. If you're watching this video, Dedo, your website feels like it was made in the 1990s. Now, like I mentioned, I'm not sponsored by them. In fact, Dedo won't respond to any of my emails that I've sent them in the past.
Answer me, please.
I think you can buy these off their website. They're not even on B&H. They're really tough to come by. It's especially tough to buy Dedo gear here in Canada. So if you're in the US, you're in luck. I don't know what it's like in Europe, but yeah, you can go check that out. There is no affiliate code for this. So I'm talking about a piece of gear that I'm just interested in. So I just wanted to put a video out there because so many people have been asking me after I did a story on this about what piece of gear this is. And for me, if I can help people make their corporate interviews look a little nicer or help you in a white room that has just boring lighting, then this Dedo might be the little trick for that because you can just set it up really quickly like I did. And then I'm even able to control the intensity of that reflection. So this is really helpful if you're trying to create that reflection through a window, but you don't want it to be over distracting or drawing too much attention away from your character. I find too, if you bend it out like this, you can kind of spread it across the whole room because it'll grab that reflection and then send it out that way. So for one tiny, what is this, like 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet, 18 inches? Yeah, that's about 18 inches. You can kind of get a whole room going. Like we were in a giant gym on that C-Bump film and we were able to get those reflections there across the whole wall. So there you go. That's the Dedo eflect, the disco ball or disco plate that we never knew we needed. Let me know if you've ever used one below. See you in the next one.